Consider two non-commuting operators, that is two incompatible variables measured in the same state, let us say ket alpha. And this state is not an eigenket for either operator. So, okay, so we have two non-commuting operators A and B. They are measured in the same state alpha, ket alpha. So naturally the value of A is dispersed, value of B is dispersed, and we can find the expectation value of A, right? Expectation value of B. We can also find the spread in A, which we call uncertainty in A, delta A and delta B. So this delta A is defined as A minus A average square, then average, square root, right? So square root of the mean of square of individual deviations. Root means square deviation. So this is okay. So in order to take this average value, we are taking this average value with respect to the state alpha. So I can write this as how do you calculate the expectation value of anything, any operator? Bra vector alpha A minus A average square ket vector alpha. This is the expansion of this expectation value, and we have to take the square root. Okay. Now if A is a Hermitian operator, then A average is just a scalar. Then A minus A average is also a Hermitian operator. Okay. Then A minus A average square is also a Hermitian operator. So what I am doing is A minus A average square means A minus A average into A minus A average. The product of two Hermitian operators. So in this expectation value, or in this inner product, so what I am doing is I will take one operator to the ket vector side, the other operator to the bra vector side. See, A minus A average is being a Hermitian operator. It's immaterial whether we operate it on the ket vector or the bra vector by the definition of Hermitian operator. So this part I will write like 1 A minus, so there are 2 minus A average, A minus A average into A minus A average here. 1 A minus A average operator I am taking to the bra vector side. So we have on the bra vector side A minus A average acting on bra vector alpha. On the ket vector side we have A minus A average acting on the ket vector alpha and square root. Okay. Now let me define this A minus A average acting on ket alpha as some, let us say, alpha 1, ket alpha 1. Then this is bra vector alpha 1. Okay. So here what you have is bra vector alpha 1, ket vector alpha 1, average. In other words, this is the inner product of a vector with itself and square root of that. This is nothing but the norm of the vector. So let me call this simply norm of, let me use this symbol. Let me use a double line for that. Norm of alpha 1. Okay, maybe I should use ket alpha 1 or simply let's say norm of alpha 1 with the understanding that this alpha 1 I am writing here is nothing but a ket alpha 1. Okay. Alpha ket alpha 1 is a modified vector obtained by acting the operator A minus A average on ket alpha. That's all. Now we can repeat this with operator B. Okay. For operator B, I can define similarly uncertainty in B. Okay. So I will write here delta B square. Delta B as B minus B average square average square root. Okay, here. And this average value we have to evaluate with respect to the same ket alpha, okay, the same state. So this is nothing but ket alpha b minus b average square ket alpha. That is how we calculate the expectation value and square root. And just like here, b is Hermitian, so b minus b average is also Hermitian. B minus b average square is Hermitian. So b minus this in the central operator side, I can write as b minus b average into b minus b average. One operator b minus b average I can take to the ket side, the other I can take to the bra vector side. Okay, so here I can write this as b minus b average acting on bra vector alpha. Okay, and b minus b average acting on ket vector alpha square. And this quantity b minus b average acting on ket vector alpha, we get a modified vector. Let me call it alpha 2. So this is nothing but bra vector alpha 2 ket vector alpha 2 square root. That is the norm of alpha 2. So uncertainty in A I have identified as norm of a modified vector alpha 1. Uncertainty in B I have identified as norm of another modified vector alpha 2. Let us try to connect them. From this ket alpha, okay, we have defined a modified vector ket alpha 1, which is A minus A average operating on ket alpha. So naturally, this ket alpha 1 is a modified vector obtained by operating on ket alpha, this operator. So this vector, this modified vector must be in the same vector space of ket alpha. Now from the vector ket alpha, we have defined another modified vector alpha 2, which is obtained by this operator b minus b average acting on ket alpha. Again, these two operators are acting on the same vector space. This then this alpha 1 and alpha 2 must be in the same vector space of ket alpha. So what is the relationship between alpha 1 and alpha 2? Now we have this Schwarz inequality. We have proved the Schwarz inequality. This states that if you take product of the norm of two vectors, ket alpha 1 into ket alpha 2. Okay, you can use single vertical lines also for the norm. So norm, product of norm of one vector alpha 1 and another vector alpha 2, this is greater than or equal to modulus of inner product between alpha 1 and alpha 2. Okay, the product of the norms of two vectors is always greater than or equal to the modulus of the inner products between alpha 1 and alpha 2. Okay, why we take the modulus is inner product between two vectors can in general be complex. Okay, so take only the modulus of that. This is Schwarz inequality. Let us use that Schwarz inequality to find out what is the relationship or what is the correlation between this ket alpha 1 and ket alpha 2. Okay, remember that this ket alpha 1, this quantity ket alpha 1, remember that the norm of ket alpha 1, okay, we have seen that the norm of ket alpha 1 is nothing but inner product of this, square root of the inner product of this vector with itself. This is nothing but delta A, uncertainty in A. Similarly, norm of ket alpha 2 is the uncertainty in B. Therefore, if there is a relationship between the norms, these two norms, then it means there is a correlation between these two uncertainties. Okay, so let us find out that. So on the left hand side, so this is great, and I am going to use one more uncertainty relation, the inequality here. This is greater than or equal to modulus of, see, this is a complex scalar in general, right? The inner product between two vectors is in general a complex scalar. We can say that this scalar is greater than or equal to its own imaginary part. Okay, in general, if you have a complex scalar, it is something like some a plus ib. There is a real part, there is an imaginary part. So we can say that this scalar is greater than or equal to its imaginary part. If there is no real part, then it is exactly equal to its imaginary part. If there is a real part in addition to an imaginary part, naturally the scalar is greater than its imaginary part. A plus ib is greater than b. B is the imaginary part. So we have used two inequalities here. One, we have used Schwarz inequality, and secondly we have used the idea that we have used this idea, that is a scalar obtained like this. Inner product between two vectors is a scalar. This is greater than its own imaginary part. A complex scalar is greater than or equal to its own imaginary part. That idea also we have used. In the first step there is one inequality, in the second step we have used another inequality, a different idea. Okay? Let us further explore this. What is the imaginary part of a scalar, of a complex scalar? Imaginary part of a scalar like this is you take the scalar, subtract its complex conjugate. See, this scalar is like a plus ib. Its complex conjugate is a minus ib. What is a plus ib minus a minus ib? The real part will cancel out. We get 2ib. How do you get the imaginary part b? You divide with 2i. So 1 by 2i, this the scalar minus its complex conjugate. That gives you the imaginary part. This is clear? See, alpha 1, inner product alpha 1, alpha 2, let us say this is a complex quantity, a plus ib. Then how do you we want to find out the imaginary part, b. How do you get that? Take a plus ib, subtract its complex conjugate, which is a minus ib. A plus ib minus a minus ib. A will cancel, we get 2ib. You divide with 2i, we get b. So in order to get the imaginary part, take the scalar, subtract its complex conjugate. Okay? So if we use this idea here, we get greater than or equal to 1 by 2i. Okay? The scalar alpha 1 alpha 2 minus alpha 1 alpha 2 complex conjugate. Okay. Now I can take this 1 by 2 outside, modulus 1 by I alpha 1 alpha 2 minus alpha 1 alpha 2 star is nothing but alpha 2 alpha 1 from the property of the inner product. Okay. So we have reached here, norm of alpha 1 into norm of alpha 2 is greater than or equal to 1 by 2 modulus of 1 by I into alpha 1 inner product between alpha 1 alpha 2 minus inner product between alpha 2 alpha 1. Okay. Now let us substitute for alpha 1. Alpha 1 is this. Alpha 2 is this. Let us substitute that here on the right side. And on the left hand side, we have also already defined that norm of alpha 1 is nothing but uncertainty in A. Norm of alpha 2 is nothing but uncertainty in B. So let me use A and B in all the places, and let us evaluate the right hand side. So on the left hand side, I can write delta A into delta B. Norm of alpha 1, ket alpha 1 is delta A. Norm of ket alpha 2 is delta B. This is greater than or equal to 1 by 2 modulus 1 by I. Okay, then alpha 1, alpha 2 inner product. What is alpha 1? A minus bra vector alpha 1, A minus A average acting on alpha. Alpha 2 is ket alpha 2 is B minus B average acting on ket alpha. So it is this. Okay, this is bra vector alpha 1, ket alpha 2 minus alpha 2 alpha 1, that is B minus B average acting on alpha. This is bra vector side. On the ket vector side we have alpha 1. So A minus A average acting on alpha. and the whole thing is inside modulus. Okay, so this is greater than or equal to, okay, now so we will be having 4 terms here, we will be having 4 terms here. In this 4 terms, one term will be, see this is the bra vector alpha, then A, B, ket vector alpha. Okay, so we have bra vector alpha, A, B, ket vector alpha. This is one term. See, bra vector alpha here, then operator A. I have written operator A on this side to show that this is acting on this vector. This is our modified vector. Okay, so actually the operator should be coming. You can also write the operator on the right side. Okay, so this bra vector alpha, this operator is acting on this operator A, B, and ket vector alpha is here. So you can write one term like this. Then okay, then another term you can write as bra vector alpha A here acting on this one. Okay, now average value of B is a number, we can take it outside. So we have minus average value of B. Okay, something like you have, okay, maybe I will write these terms. So you have minus, so the second term, so A alpha, B alpha, so we have this. Okay, alpha, A, B, alpha. Then next is this term I can take outside. We have alpha, A, alpha. Okay, A here, bra vector alpha, A, and then acting on ket vector alpha. Then another term will be minus expectation value of A I can take outside. Okay, and I am taking this vector outside from the ket vector side. Okay, but since the expectation value is a weighted average of eigenvalues, we know that the eigenvalues of a Hermitian operator are real. So expectation value is simply a weighted average of eigenvalues. So expectation value also must be real. So when you take it outside the bra vector, you don't have to take complex conjugate. So expectation value of A, there is a minus sign. Then alpha, bra vector alpha, A acting on ket vector alpha. So we have a term like this. Then this into this. So plus expectation value of A into expectation value of B, alpha, alpha. So these are the 4 terms here. Similarly, there will be 4 terms here. So we have a minus sign. So minus alpha, B, A, alpha. Okay. Then B, minus of minus plus, I can take expectation value of A outside. So plus expectation value of A, alpha, B, alpha. I think here also I missed a B value. If I take expectation value of A outside, alpha, B, alpha will be here. So here this term will be alpha, B, alpha. Okay. So this into this, then this into this. So there is a minus sign, minus of minus will be plus. So plus expectation value of B, alpha, A, alpha, and this minus of minus plus, then there is a minus sign. So minus expectation value of A, expectation value of B, alpha, alpha, modulus. And there are 8 terms here. And this term will cancel with this term. This will cancel with this term. And these 2 terms will cancel. So 6 terms will cancel. What is remaining is greater than or equal to half 1 by I alpha AB alpha minus alpha BA alpha. Okay, Now here in this expression, bra vector alpha and ket vector alpha we can take out from the two sides. Okay, this I can simplify as half modulus 1 by I and alpha AB minus BA alpha. Okay. And this is nothing but expectation value of AB minus BA. Expectation value of AB minus BA is commutator A comma 1. So this is our general result. Right? Delta A into delta B greater than or equal to 1 by 2 modulus 1 by I expectation value of commutator AB. So as long as two operators are non-commuting, there is an inner product, there is a correlation between the uncertainty in one operator and the uncertainty in other operator. Why? Because we are measuring these two observables A and B in the same state, ket alpha, in this particular discussion. So this uncertainty in A is measured with respect to one state. Uncertainty in B is also measured with respect to the same state. So there is a correlation between the two. This is the idea. Now, when can we get the minimum uncertainty product? The equality is called the minimum uncertainty product. When do we get the minimum uncertainty product? We can recall how do we get this inequality in our derivation. There are two inequalities arriving in our derivation we have used. One is Schwarz inequality. The other is the idea that inner product between two vectors, it's a scalar, it's greater than its imaginary part. Okay. So let us see. So these two, this becomes you get minimum uncertainty product when the two inequalities become equality. Let us see what are the conditions for Schwarz inequality. Schwarz inequality becomes equality. We have discussed that in the discussion on Schwarz inequality. When the two vectors are linearly dependent. Okay, so we can say that ket alpha 2 is equal to some constant times ket alpha, some scalar times ket alpha. These two vectors must be parallel to each other, or one must be a linear multiple of the other. They are linearly dependent. Then Schwarz inequality becomes equality. That is one inequality. And the other case, that is the scalar, a complex scalar is greater than its imaginary part. That becomes equality. Okay, that becomes equality when the real part of the scalar is 0. So what is the real part of the scalar? Ket alpha 1 alpha 2 plus alpha 2 alpha 1. Okay, alpha 1 alpha 2 plus alpha 1 alpha 2 star. A complex scalar plus its own complex conjugate. That is the real part. A plus IB plus A minus IB. That is the real part. This should be 0. So these are the two conditions under which the two inequalities becomes equality. This is a condition for Schwarz inequality becoming equality. This means that the real part of this scalar is 0. If the real part of the scalar is 0, then the scalar must be exactly equal to its imaginary part. We have used the idea that this is greater than or equal to its imaginary part. That becomes equality when the real part is 0, and this is how we calculate the real part. Inner product, I mean the scalar plus its own complex conjugate. This is the complex conjugate equal to 0. Okay, so when you demand these two conditions, when you restrict the vector ket alpha such that these two conditions are satisfied, then you get equality here and equality here, and then this uncertainty product become equal. That means you get minimum uncertainty product. Okay, but these two conditions will impose some restriction on the ket alpha, on the vector alpha. That means the minimum uncertainty product can be achieved only in particular cases when the vector ket vector has some special form. Okay, and also this operator also should be special. So only in certain combinations of operators and vectors can we have minimum uncertainty product. An example is linear harmonic oscillator, the ground state of linear harmonic oscillator. In the ground state of linear harmonic oscillator, we will see that later, the ground state wave function is, if you express the ket vector in terms of position basis, then we get the wave function. The ground state wave function is a Gaussian function. Okay. So if in the case of that ground state wave function of a linear harmonic oscillator, we get minimum uncertainty product. Okay. So it does not only depends upon the wave function, it also depends on the operator. Not only depends upon the vector, it also depends upon the operator, because this alpha 1 and alpha 2 are modified vectors. Obtained by ket alpha 1 is obtained by A minus A average acting on ket alpha. Ket alpha 2 is obtained by B minus B average acting on ket alpha. So it also depends upon the particular nature of the operator. In the case of harmonic oscillator, this A average and B average, expectation value of X and P, if you take the operator, if you take X and P, then the average values of X and P are 0. So that also is important. So depending upon the nature of the, depending upon the combination of operator and the vector, we can get these two conditions can be satisfied, and then we can show that there will be minimum uncertainty product. So that is a particular example. We will look at that, we will calculate that when we discuss harmonic oscillator, linear harmonic oscillator. So that is the proof of general uncertainty relationship, and we have seen special examples of this general uncertainty relationship in the context of two canonically conjugate variables, of which Heisenberg's uncertainty relationship between position and momentum is a special case. And we have also seen examples where the variables are not canonically conjugate as two components of spin operator.